Today's tutorial goes with your lab exercise in which you will learn how to create a basic animated banner ad in Flash. So you'll be learning how to change colors, change objects into symbols and then move them around, how to move type, and as an added bonus you can count how many times I say tween in this tutorial. Let's start by making a new file. Let's go to the File menu, File, New. And what we want is an action script, and for this exercise we want the medium rectangle, which is 300 pixels by 250 pixels. We'll go ahead and keep our background color white, that's fine, and our frame rate of 24 frames per second, and that should work. To start with, let's work on our background layer here. Let's go to the layer window here and change this to background. You'll work with a lot of layers in Flash, so it's usually a good idea to label them and then also use your lock and your visible tabs to make sure that you're seeing what you want to see and that you're working in the correct layer. So to start with, let's bring into our library the logo that we're going to use in this tutorial, which is the CSUF logo. So I'm just going to click and drag this into the library. You can tab back and forth between Properties and Library here. Now I want to bring in the logo first because I want to sample the color that we'll start with, the deep blue background color. So to do that, we're just going to drag this logo where we can see it for a moment and use our eyedropper tool. Come in here to the blue and sample it, and now we've got the color sampled. All right, now let's delete the logo, and we'll bring it back in later in another layer. So let's just select it and delete it. And let's go to our rectangle tool. And for the rectangle, let's put a stroke of 1 point on there. And then the fill is the fill color that we just selected. So we can come in here now and draw the rectangle that is the beginning background that we will see when the ad starts to play. Okay, so now let's go out to about frame 85, click here, we'll make a keyframe, insert timeline keyframe, and then at frame 85 let's change the background color to white. So we'll go back over to our color fill, select white, and now Flash knows that the background will be white at frame 85. To make the transition, then we click anywhere in between here and insert a shape tween. Okay, so let's see how that works. If we play it, we'll see that it's gradually changing from dark blue to white over 85 frames. Next, let's do the logo. So we're done with the background layer. Let's lock that, and we'll make a new layer. Call that logo. And so here, let's also start at the beginning, frame 1, and let's bring the logo in to the workspace. So we're going to drag the logo in here, and now let's change this to a symbol. So that's under Modify, Convert to Symbol, and the symbol should be a graphic. Okay. You can bring a JPEG or a PNG file directly into Flash, but if you're going to animate it, it needs to be a symbol. So now that we have it converted to a symbol, let's resize it. Okay, so to resize it, let's go to the Transform tool, and if we hold down the Shift key, we can constrain the proportions while we resize. Okay, now we'll switch to our Selection tool and bring it into position there. Okay, now let's go out to about frame 75, and we'll put in a keyframe here. Let's do it at 75 so that the logo moving will end about half a second before the ad is finished. So now at this point we can move our logo over here. Go to the Transform tool, rechange its size, and I didn't. I hold down the Shift key, there we go. Hold the Shift key, change its size, move it into position, somewhere about like that. All right, now let's make the transition or the animation. Click in between here. And this time we're going to insert a classic tween. And we see that about halfway through, it's growing in size and has moved. Let's test that to see what it looks like. Okay. Now let's start working on the text. So let's go ahead and lock our logo layer. Make a new layer, and the first text layer we'll deal with are the words Titan's Reach. And let's start this back at frame 1 as well. And for Titan's Reach, let's find the orange color. So we're going to sample this orange from the logo. Let's zoom in so we can get a good look at it. And there's our orange color. Okay, so let's go ahead and set our text and use our text tool and start typing Titan's Reach. And let's select a typeface here. Let's use Helvetica, which displays well just about anywhere. Okay, Helvetica regular, and let's try it 18. Okay. Make the text move. So let's go out also maybe to about frame 75. Put in a keyframe. And at that point, let's drag our text up to where we want it to end. Somewhere about there. And let's get ready to tween. In between there, let's insert another classic tween. Tween, tween, tween. And let's see what we've got. Okay, both are moving. The Titan's Reach goes in front of the logo. It's a beautiful thing. All right, now let's do the word higher. And so let's create a new layer here. Higher. And we want the word higher to come in near the end, to fade in near the end. So let's go out here about between 60 and 65 and insert a keyframe. And that's where we will have it start to appear. To do that, let's set the text. I'm going to set this larger and in italics. And let's see, it might need to be a little bit over here. Should be about fine there. Now let's go ahead and convert that to a symbol and a graphic symbol. To do the fade in effect, now that it's a symbol, what we'll do is we'll go over to Color Effect, Style, and alpha is what the word that Flash uses for transparency or opacity. So we want to turn the alpha down to 0 at this point. Okay, and then let's come out to about frame 80 or close to there. Insert another keyframe. Okay, and at this point, let's change the alpha on this to 100. And hopefully that should come in gradually over the course of those 20 frames once we put in a tween. Let's check it. And there it comes in. A little fast and maybe a little bit low, but okay for the purposes of this tutorial. Okay, so now let's create a layer for the URL. And let's have the URL also start to pop in at about the same time over here around in the mid-60s. So insert a keyframe there. Okay, and we want to set the www.fullerton.edu in the blue color for the logo. So we'll sample that color. Set the text. That looks like it's in a good spot. Not bad. And let's convert that to a symbol. Okay, now let's change the alpha to 0 at that point so that it's hidden, and then also have it fade in. Insert another keyframe. Turn the alpha up completely. There it is. And another tween. And let's look at it. And there that comes. So far we've only been previewing our banner ad here through the Flash player, but it's a good idea to look at it in the browser as well. So let's have a look at it here under Control Test Movie in browser. And what we'll see is that the animation works, but it keeps on working. And sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want your animation to end. So let's figure out if we can find a way to make it stop. All right, now let's put a stop action on this animation. To do that, make one more layer. We're going to call this action stop. And we'll go in and we'll put a keyframe here at the very end where we want the animation to stop. So there, insert, timeline, keyframe. Now we need to go to the Actions menu, which is under Window, Actions. And here you have to type a little code. And it's simply the word stop, close, open and close parentheses, semicolon. Close that. And you see there's a little tiny A in there indicating that the action has been written. So now let's test this in, let's test it once more in here. And let's look at it in a browser to see if it does stop. So here it comes, plays, and it stops. All right, this concludes our introductory exercise on animated banner ads in Flash. If you can do these steps, you should be able to handle the technical aspects of your internet advertising assignment. If you find yourself getting stuck and making mistakes, that's pretty normal actually, but things to check are the most common areas where you kind of get stuck are maybe working in the wrong layer. So always check to make sure that you're in your layers, label your layers, lock them, things like that so you know what layer you're working in. And are you working or starting the action in the right frame, in the right part of the timeline for where you want to work. Other than that, I think you should be able to get these done. So, tween.